Recently, I totally changed the way I edit videos, and as a result, I cut my editing time down by 57%. That is not a made-up number, and in about 10 seconds, I'm gonna show you the proof. I've edited over 100 videos for YouTube, so this kind of time savings made a huge impact on my output. In this video, I'm gonna share with you 4 guiding principles that will transform your editing practices. 4, hacks, if you will, that are gonna speed up your editing. And the 4th one is probably gonna be a little controversial, and I expect to get some negative comments as a result. Now, let me be clear. These editing hacks are not that useful for those who are editing feature films and stuff like that. But if you're making videos for YouTube, this could be a gold mine for you. And these time-saving tips do not rely on what editing software you're using. It'll work on just about anything, but I happen to be using Davinci Resolve Studio Edition. All right, I know you want to know what the proof is. Well, about a year ago, I installed an app on my Mac to monitor my usage. I knew I needed to shorten my editing process. If I was gonna know what was working though, I needed a baseline to compare to. So I edited a typical video and I took this screenshot of the activity timer when I was done. 4 hours, 59 minutes, so 299 minutes. Over the next few months, I spent a lot of time observing where I was spending most of my time. Then I brainstormed some pretty crazy ideas to see if it would help speed things up. Now, some worked, others didn't, and I finally got a new workflow going that seemed to be more efficient, but of course, I needed to test it. So back to that usage timer. I picked a new video that was a very similar format to the baseline video. It was the same structure, same style, same format, same amount of footage, and I got to work using all of my hacks, and here's the result. 2 hours, 6 minutes, or 126 minutes. That's a savings of 173 minutes, which is 57.8% reduction from the original 299 minutes. Now, even assuming some giant margin of error because the content was different, getting rid of 173 minutes of editing time is pretty significant. I've noticed similar time savings using these hacks for my other videos as well. So, how did I do this? I noticed something really important about the way I edited videos. I spent a lot of time watching and rewatching and rewatching the content, and relatively little time actually doing stuff like moving clips around or adding titles. So my goal was to find ways to only watch the content when I absolutely had to. Now, I know what you're thinking. How am I going to edit if I don't watch what I'm editing? And I didn't say I never watch it. I just cut out as much useless content watching as possible. So here's the first tip. You know how in the movies a director will have an actor do a number of takes and sometimes one in the middle has that right amount of magic? I heard that Stanley Kubrick made Tom Cruise walk through the same door 95 times. That is a lot of takes. And the good news, at least for Kubrick's editor, is that film crews tend to make notes about which takes are the best, so the editor knows where to start. But for solo content creators on YouTube, you're probably not going to find the best take in the middle of the bunch, and this is important. Almost always, your last take is your best take. Why? Because as soon as you nail your lines, you move on. You're not gonna do 95 takes hoping for a better one. So if your last take is the best take, you can cut out a lot of wasted time in your rough edit. All you have to do is edit backwards. Here's what I mean. Grab all of your dialogue clips and put them on your timeline in the order that you filmed them. Just string them all out in your timeline. Make sure you can see the audio as well as hear it. Now, find the last section of dialogue you recorded and give it a listen.
So the LED thing isn't a deal killer for me, and
Is it a good take? Well, probably it is because it's your last take. So cut that section and keep it. Now, listen back to just the beginnings of each of those previous bad takes until you find the section that came before it, like this.
The SRI2 list, the SRI2 list, now the SRI list for, now the yellow and
All right, there we go. New material. That's the last take of the previous material, which means it's a good one. Now, I just delete the bad takes in between. So just keep working toward the beginning of the video this way. Find that last good take and don't listen to all those bad takes. This saves a ton of time. I should be honest, I don't actually use this technique very much anymore, and that's because I've found an even faster way to do rough edits. But I mentioned the edit backwards method because I was using it for some really good time savings, and not all editing software can do the method I use now, which is text-based editing. Nowadays, a lot of apps will listen to your dialogue track and just turn it into text, and then you can edit that text like you would in a Google Doc, and you can delete parts or you can select parts to insert into your timeline. For me, it's even faster to just read the text, find the last take, and insert that. So, I mean, I guess I'm still looking for the last take, but I don't need to start at the end of the timeline. I just skim until I see the last time I said something, select it, and pop it into the timeline. Up until this next stage of editing, I'm not paying too much attention to every single word. I'm really just looking for the take where I made it all the way to the end. However, sometimes I'll make a little flub in the middle of a take and just start the sentence over.
It's just a stellar interface,
and obviously I need to cut these out, but I do this in a second pass. And this is the first time I actually listened to the entire set of dialogue clips from start to finish. But keep in mind, I've deleted all the bad takes, so I'm listening to a lot less material. And to save time doing this, I don't listen in real time. That's right, I listen at double speed. I'm checking for any place where I made a small flub and then I repeated myself. I'm also checking for places where the text-based editing missed something, and usually it just like leaves random things in there. And I can listen at 2 times the speed and spot these problems immediately. Now, to be honest, I'm not even watching the video content much at this point. I'm mostly just listening, just using my ears. I should also be clear that I'm paying almost zero attention to the gaps between the clips at this point, and that comes later. Well, actually, it comes right now. There does eventually come a time when you need to turn your dialogue rough edit into a finished edit. And the thing that sets skilled YouTube editors apart from beginning editors is, well, okay, there's like 8,000 things on that list, but one of the things that makes a good YouTube video pop is tight pacing. You need to make sure that each clip doesn't leave too much silence before the next one, but you also need to make sure you didn't cut any words off. But am I gonna listen to the entire video just to fine-tune those transitions between the clips? No, of course not. I'm going to listen to only the transitions where one clip ends and another starts. Now, you could just sort of click manually right before each cut and listen that way, but for even more time savings, I'm using a little macro that speeds things up even more. It just triggers the key command for next clip, then a key command for go back 1 second, and then play.
price range, and
this lets me hear the last second of one clip and how it leads into the next. And I stop playback and I fix the edit, and then I tap my macro key and I repeat. And I keep working my way through the edit all the way to the end. And at that point, I'm almost finished with the dialogue track. Okay, 4th tip's coming up. But you might be wondering at this point, when do I actually play the video from beginning to end in real time? Well, I usually don't do that until after I fine-tune the transitions that I was just talking about. Then I'll do a real-time pass to get rid of any heavy breathing or other weird grunting noises I might have made, because you just can't do that in double speed. I just miss them. And then I'll do another real-time pass to figure out where I'm going to put B-roll. And that's an entire process for how I do that. And by the way, if you're interested in learning about how I incorporate B-roll into my videos, let me know in the comments, or you can just say hi. All right, last tip, and this one is a little controversial. Let's fast forward to when not literally, let's, go forward in time when you've got all your B-roll in place. Maybe you've got some titles and text and things like that, but you should be asking yourself, is this video going to engage my viewers all the way through? Fortunately, you can just look at your timeline to check this, but more importantly, you can use this as a hack to add engaging elements without wasting time. Have you ever watched a video by Aaron Maney, also known as Mr. Who's the Boss? He has a very successful tech channel, and many of his videos are essentially talking head videos, kind of like this. He's in his studio, he's talking to camera, and then he has B-roll over the top to show what he's talking about. But the sheer amount of B-roll he has is just insane. I ran the stats on one of his videos. In just under 9 minutes, he had 107 B-roll clips. That's almost 12 B-roll clips per minute. This is what you're competing against on YouTube. And he's got almost as many B-roll shots in the middle of his video as he does in the intro. This is what keeps his viewers watching until the end. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to have that much B-roll in your video, but you do want to keep the excitement level up throughout the whole thing. So the non-controversial part of this hack, zoom out and look at your timeline. You can tell how active your edit is and how engaging it is just by the number of cuts and clips. See this part right here? There are some long stretches of just me talking to the camera. I'm in danger of losing viewers here if I don't give them some visual excitement. Now, here's the controversial part. What you put in these dead spots is less important than where you put things. Decide where you need to put things first, and then go figure out what that eye candy should be. Look, you've already gone through and put in the must-have B-roll and text, so it's not like you're leaving out important parts of your video. But I'm trying to get you to use your eyes to find dead spots and then figure out what to put there. This will save time because you won't worry about putting in little extra sparkles where you don't actually need it. So this gap right here, this definitely needs something. I'm gonna put some markers in so I know roughly where something should go. Now, first, I'm gonna listen to the dialogue and see if there's anything that could be punched up with, some text. Or maybe I can use some stock footage to illustrate a point. You know what? I think I'll add a shot for my second camera here because that will add some, visual excitement. So notice I'm not just randomly adding pictures of my cat. I'm still adding relevant content. I'm just not wasting time trying to add engaging elements where I don't need them because I already have engaging elements in these other places. Oh, and here's a bonus tip. You should always make the endings of your video really, really strong.